Hello, my name's John Caird. I'm the writer and director of the new Toho musical Daddy Longlegs, which will premiere at the Crie Theatre this coming summer. I think this is a very interesting show for people of all ages. It's the most amazing story. It's a beautiful novel written originally by Jean Webster, an American novelist, and it's about a young girl's education. She starts in an orphanage, no parents, no money, no expectations. And she's given an opportunity to go to college by a rich man who she thinks she's never going to meet. And really the story is mostly about her education, how she grows up to be a woman, how she becomes a great writer in her own right. But it also becomes a wonderful love story because the man who is paying for her education falls in love with her because of reading her letters. And it's a very fascinating thing. He doesn't want to meet her at first, but when he starts to read her letters, he finds her absolutely fascinating and witty and clever and inspiring. So he goes to see her, but he goes to see her pretending he's somebody else because he doesn't want her to know that he's paid for her college education. And he falls in love with her, and she falls in love with him. But the story becomes really fascinating and very funny because he finds that he can never admit to her that he was the man who gave her all this money. And she can never admit to him that she was from an orphanage. And of course he already knows that because she's been writing him these letters all the time. So it's a very funny situation, but also a beautifully sad one as well, because for a long time the audience think that it's going to be an impossible relationship, but then it turns out very happily in the end. I think the very interesting thing about this story is that it's, on the face of it, it seems like a children's story, but it's not really. It's certainly not a story that's just for children, and it's not for young children. It's a story that is a wonderful one for anybody from the age of 15 to about 85 or older. Because it tells a very human, very simple story about a girl growing up. And I think we found in America, where we've done it, that it's a fantastic play for parents to bring their teenage children to, or for teenagers or people in their early 20s to see, because it really speaks to them very directly about education and about growing up and becoming an adult in real life. The two actors I've chosen to play in this production are really perfect for their characters. Sakamoto Maya is a wonderfully gifted actress and singer. For this part, she has to be very clever. She's a college girl who is highly intelligent, a good writer, and she's witty and funny and sweet-natured. And Maya is all those things as a person, and so she has all those gifts in her to play the part beautifully, I think. Yoshio is also perfectly cast for his role. The novel is called Daddy Longlegs, and it's called Daddy Longlegs because Jerusha, the girl, decides that that's what she's going to call her sponsor. She's never met him. She's only seen his shadow against the wall. And she imagines he's a very old man because he has a very long, spindly shadow, like an old spider. But actually, he's a young man. He's a man of 30 or 32. And that's part of the comedy of the story, is that she thinks he's very old, and actually he's very young. But just like her, he has to be a very intelligent man, a very clever man, a humorous, funny, interesting man. And in his way, a sort of East Coast American aristocrat. He's not a typical American cowboy type. He's intelligent and academic. He's a university-educated man. And so the story that involves these two people requires them to write letters to each other, to be very interesting, to be very intellectual, but it also requires them to be funny. And of course, they both have to sing very well, and both Yoshio and Maya are wonderful singers. It's interesting that although this novel was written originally by an American writer, it's not very well known in America, or indeed in England. It's very well known in France, where it's called Papa Jambes Longues, Daddy Longlegs in French. And of course, it's very well known in Japan, where it's known as Ashinaga Oji-san. And because it's such a much loved novel in Japan, that was the reason why I had the idea of doing a musical of it in the first place, because I wanted to do it in Japan. So it's with great pleasure that I'm finally putting this piece on here in Tokyo. And I would love you to come and see it and listen to Paul Gordon's beautiful songs and listen to Yoshio and Maya performing these wonderful parts. Welcome.